Hungary sits inside Europe, but its identity came from somewhere else. Its language is unlike those of almost every neighbor. Its people trace their story eastward toward the Eurasian steppe. Its old kingdom once covered a far larger map, yet modern Hungary is smaller than many American states. Even so, it became a center for thermal culture, scientific talent, German industry, and Asian battery investment. How did a landlocked nation with limited resources become one of Central Europe's most strategic economies? Start with the map. Hungary occupies the Carpathian Basin, a broad lowland enclosed by mountains. Austria lies to the west, Slovakia to the north, Ukraine and Romania to the east, and Serbia, Croatia, and Slovenia to the south. The Danube crosses the country, while the Tisar runs through the Great Hungarian Plain. This is one of Europe's great crossroads. That position created opportunity and exposure. Armies, merchants, migrants, and empires repeatedly crossed the basin. Hungary connected Western Europe with the Balkans, but also became their battlefield. Trade routes brought value, while weak natural barriers brought danger. The first sign that Hungary is different appears in its language. Hungarian, or Magyar, belongs to the Uralic language family. It is not a Slavic language like Slovak or Croatian. It is not Germanic like German. It is not Romance like Romanian. Its closest major linguistic relatives are far away, including Finnish and Estonian, although the languages are not mutually understandable. Hungarian also places family names before given names in domestic use. The composer known internationally as Béla Bartók is Bartók Béla in Hungarian order. That does not prove an Asian origin. Still, it reinforces a broader feeling. Hungary stands in Central Europe while preserving habits that point east. Hungarians call their country Magyarország, meaning the country of the Magyars. Magyarstan appears in some other languages, but it is not Hungary's official English name. Despite a popular legend, modern Hungarians cannot simply be described as descendants of Attila's Huns. The origins of the early Magyars remain debated. Linguistic evidence links their language to peoples once living east of the Urals. Historical and archaeological evidence suggests Magyar groups later moved across the western Eurasian steppe, interacting with Iranian, Turkic, Slavic, and other communities. Their identity emerged through migration, alliance, warfare, and exchange. In the late 9th century, Magyar tribes entered the Carpathian Basin under leaders associated with Arpad. Celts, Romans, Germanic peoples, Avars, Slavs, and others had already occupied the region. But Magyar settlement created the political foundation of the Hungarian state. For generations, Magyar horsemen raided deep into Europe. Then their strategy changed. Around 1000, Stephen I became king and tied the kingdom to Latin Christianity. Churches, bishoprics, counties, and royal institutions followed. Hungary became a Christian kingdom between Eastern origins and Western institutions. That balance never became comfortable. Mongol forces devastated much of the kingdom in 1241. Hungary recovered, but another threat came from the south. After Mohacs in 1526, Ottoman expansion shattered the medieval order. Buda fell in 1541, and Hungary was divided among Ottoman lands, Habsburg territories, and Transylvania. Ottoman rule left baths, architecture, military memories, and demographic scars. Habsburg reconquest then pulled most Hungarian lands into an empire centered on Vienna. Hungarians remained politically important, but disputes over autonomy, language, taxation, and identity never disappeared. Those tensions exploded in the Revolution of 1848. The uprising failed, but the demand for self-government survived. In 1867, Vienna and Budapest reached the compromise that created Austria-Hungary. One monarch ruled two political centers. Hungary gained broad control over internal affairs, and Budapest entered a period of extraordinary growth. The system looked powerful, but tensions among its national groups remained. The First World War broke it apart. Then came the event that still shapes Hungarian memory, the Treaty of Trianon in 1920. The new borders reduced Hungary to roughly one-third of the territory of the pre-war kingdom. Millions of ethnic Hungarians now lived outside the new state, especially in Romania, Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, and Austria. For outsiders, Trianon can look like an old border settlement. Inside Hungary, it represents lost territory, separated communities, and a collapsed historical world. Modern Hungary makes more sense once you recognize that its national imagination is larger than its present map. The 20th century brought further trauma. Hungary, aligned with the Axis, was occupied by Nazi Germany and later entered the Soviet sphere. In 1956, an uprising against communist rule was crushed by Soviet forces, yet became a lasting symbol of independence. In 1989, Hungary opened its border with Austria, helped weaken the Iron Curtain, and peacefully replaced its communist system. The country joined NATO in 1999 and the European Union in 2004. That seemed to complete a long return to the West. But Hungary never stopped seeing itself as a country with Eastern connections and a distinctive path. That tension is visible most clearly in its capital. Budapest grew from communities on opposite sides of the Danube. Hilly Buda rose on the western bank, shaped by royal power, fortifications, and winding streets. Flat Pest expanded on the eastern side as a commercial and political center. In 1873, Buda, Pest, and Óbuda were formally united. The Danube stages Budapest's history. On one bank stands Buda Castle above the river. On the other rises the Hungarian Parliament building, a monumental statement from the age of the dual monarchy. Between them, the chain bridge made a permanent physical connection between Buda and Pest and became a symbol of national modernization. Budapest dominates the national story, but the rest of Hungary matters. Debrecen, the largest eastern city, once served as a temporary capital and is now becoming an industrial center. Page layers Roman, early Christian, Ottoman, and Habsburg history into one city. Dir links Western Hungary to Austria and Slovakia while anchoring the automotive corridor. Together, they reveal a country shaped by regional inequality and uneven investment. Fisherman's Bastion looks medieval, but its present form is largely modern. Parliament resembles an ancient monument, yet belongs to the age of mass politics. Budapest turns political ambition into architecture. But some of Budapest's most important geography is underground. The city sits above thermal waters and caves. Hot water rises through fractured rock beneath the Buda Hills, feeding baths used by Romans, expanded under Ottoman rule, and later rebuilt as grand institutions of a modern European capital. Today, places such as Székely, Gellert, Rudas, and Lukács are not just tourist attractions. They are social institutions. People soak, talk, exercise, and sometimes play chess in steaming outdoor pools. The bath compresses Hungarian life into one scene. Medicine, leisure, architecture, and conversation sharing the same water. This thermal geography extends beyond Budapest. Near Lake Balaton lies Lake Heves, promoted as the world's largest biologically active natural thermal lake. Its warm, mineral-rich water allows outdoor bathing through much of the year. Balaton itself is Central Europe's largest lake and Hungary's inland sea, lined with beaches, vineyards, and holiday towns. Hungary lacks an ocean and has limited mineral wealth, but it turned water into identity. The Danube connects it internationally. Balaton supplies a domestic coast. Thermal springs support tourism and social life. Hungary learned to extract value for what geography provided. The same logic explains the modern economy. Hungary is not rich in oil, gas, or vast mineral deposits. It became valuable by joining European production networks. It sits inside the EU single market, close to Germany, Austria, the Balkans, and major transport corridors. Wages remain below Western European levels, while infrastructure and industrial skills are relatively strong. The result is an economy unusually dependent on manufacturing, exports, and foreign investment. Audi produces engines and vehicles in Győr. Mercedes-Benz operates in Kecskemét. BMW opened its Debrecen factory in 2025 for a new generation of electric vehicles. Hungary is now part of the engineering network behind the cars. Now the industrial map is changing again. European car makers need batteries and electric drivetrains, and Hungary wants to become a major electric vehicle hub. CATL selected Debrecen for its second European battery plant. BYD is building a passenger vehicle base in Szeged. South Korean battery companies had already invested before the newest Chinese wave arrived. Why Hungary? It offers EU market access, transport links, incentives, industrial land, and proximity to German factories. It also seeks investment from both Western and Eastern partners. Germany remains central, while China has become a major source of greenfield projects. This strategy creates influence and risk. Automotive and battery production require investment, technology, energy, water, and stable foreign demand. If car sales weaken or battery technology changes, Hungary feels the shock quickly. Joining global supply chains also creates strategic exposure. Hungary also has a pharmaceutical tradition, electronics, productive farmland, and a service economy centered on Budapest. Tokai's wine landscape is protected by UNESCO, while paprika became a national symbol around Szeged and Kalaksa. Yet manufacturing explains Hungary's international role more clearly than any of these sectors. There's another resource that cannot be mined or assembled: talent. Hungary's scientific influence is far larger than its population suggests. Erno Rubik created the prototype of his cube in 1974. Laszlo Biro helped develop the modern ballpoint pen. Denis Gabor, born in Budapest, won the Nobel Prize in Physics for work on holography. Then there was John von Neumann. Born in Budapest, he helped shape modern mathematics, game theory, nuclear research, and the architecture of digital computers. Edward Teller was also born in Budapest and became a central figure in American nuclear physics. Their careers reveal both Hungary's strength and one of its deepest losses. Many Hungarian-born thinkers built their greatest careers abroad. War, fascism, anti-Semitism, communism, and limited opportunity pushed talent toward Germany, Britain, and the United States. Hungary's global intellectual influence was partly created by exile. Its cultural legacy followed the same path. Franz Liszt became one of the great figures of 19th century music. Bela Bartok collected folk traditions and transformed modern composition. Hungarian cinema, photography, mathematics, and design also traveled abroad through immigrants. A small language community became globally visible because many of its people learned to work across borders. Modern Hungary still balances achievement and vulnerability. Its population peaked around 1980 and has declined since. Roughly 9.5 million people remain, and the population is aging. Smaller towns face sharper pressure, while Budapest attracts talent and investment. Labor shortages complicate Hungary's industrial ambitions. New factories need workers, yet the domestic workforce is shrinking. The country has attracted temporary labor from abroad, even while its politics remain restrictive toward irregular migration. That is a classic Hungarian contradiction: economic openness beside political defensiveness. A large wage gap with Western Europe remains. Foreign factories can raise exports without bringing Western living standards to every household. Inflation and uneven growth have pressured families, while imported energy and external markets limit economic independence. Hungary's place in Europe is equally complicated. It belongs to both the EU and NATO, yet its government often challenges the political consensus in Brussels. Disputes over migration, rule of law standards, relations with Russia, and policy toward Ukraine have made Hungary one of the Union's most controversial members. Supporters call this a defense of sovereignty. Critics see democratic backsliding and transactional foreign policy. Either way, Budapest has learned that a small country can gain attention by becoming difficult to bypass. Hungary often acts as a bridge, bargaining point, and sometimes a veto player between larger powers. That strategy echoes the country's geography. Hungary has spent centuries between empires, languages, religions, and trade systems. It joined Western institutions without erasing its Eastern memories. It lost most of its old kingdom without losing the map inside its national imagination. It lacks major natural resources, yet it converted location, labor, water, and political flexibility into strategic value. So Hungary is not simply a beautiful capital on the Danube. It is a European country with a Uralic language and a steppe migration story. It carries a wounded territorial memory, an imperial capital, a thermal landscape, and an export economy tied to German cars and Asian batteries. Hungary matters not because it is large, but because it has learned how to turn an exposed geographic position into strategic value. The harder question is whether that strategy can survive demographic decline, technological change, and growing tension inside Europe. Do you see Hungary as an outsider in Europe, or as one of the countries that best represents Europe's complicated history? If you enjoy seeing countries beyond the stereotypes, subscribe to Geologic.